Ah yes, we open on the traditional village dispute resolution technique, a swift kick to the everything. Observe the noble glare of a man about to do something rash. He's bravely skipped the thinking part and gone straight to doing. And our instigator appears a woman whose demands are as subtle as her entrance. She'll take your money, your livestock, and your firstborn son in marriage. A reasonable starting offer. The plot thick as cheap gravy congeals further. This isn't just a shakedown, it's a hostile family merger. As negotiations sour, an outside opinion arrives. The crowd's verdict is unanimous. Asterisk abort. Abort, asterisk. A helpful auntie points out the village's ample supply of bachelorettes. Yes, Joe, your dating pool was just chlorinated with family drama. Enter Mr. Tall, Dark, and Masked, who's clearly skipped the chapter on making friends. His offer is simple: get lost or get got. You can almost feel the vein throbbing in his temple. He's a man on a schedule, and our hero is an unscheduled, deeply inconvenient interruption. And with that, diplomacy is officially dead. Joe learns a valuable lesson. Some people just don't want to be rescued. How terribly rude of them. The shouting stops, but the air is left humming with the promise of future violence. Lovely. Just when you think it's over, asterisk raw panic star. What could possibly make a man look like he's just seen his own ghost doing his taxes? Good heavens, it's a cow. All this for a cow. And now he has a knife. This situation's stability is, shall we say, questionable. The blade drops. The panic subsides. One word hangs in the air. Is it a cry for help? Or the start of a very awkward family reunion? But the calm is a fragile facade. Behind that grimace, a war is being waged. The internal monologue must be simply exhausting. And in a stunning reversal, it's all hugs and relief. Our hero is safe. Everyone is so happy. So very happy. Yes, nothing unsettling about those smiles at all. And here we have the local art critic thoroughly impressed by the performance. 5 stars for impending bovine tragedy. Having narrowly avoided a full-blown public episode, Joe now pivots to stoic protector. His credibility is, shall we say, pending. His protective jurisdiction expands. Elder brother, younger sister. Soon he'll be offering security services to the entire village's farm animals. But the family's reaction is less, thank you, brave hero, and more, oh dear, he's finally snapped. The sweat really gives it away. Yes, the confusion is palpable. Protect them for what exactly? Aggressive cut chewing? His brilliant plan involves killing the livestock. His reasoning for this? He doesn't have any. A truly flawless strategy. He resorts to the most powerful tool in the Protagonist handbook, an intense gaze and a completely unexplained demand for unwavering loyalty. Curious. It seems this bovine death warrant comes from a higher power, and not even Dad has the security clearance to know why. A quiet, meaningful look between father and son. Perfect for sharing cryptic half-truths before getting back to the very important business of cow murder. And just like that, Dad is all in, practically vibrating with enthusiasm for the impending slaughter. The family that slays together stays together. Enter the village's moral compass here to loudly question their sanity. A thankless job, but someone's got to do it. A single furious rebuttal. Apparently, the crazy label struck a particularly sensitive nerve. And with that, the A-team of questionable choices assembles, marching off to help. A term we're using very loosely here. And the local rumor mill churns to life, helpfully connecting this agricultural crisis to a recent romantic rejection. Of course it does. A moment of profound self-reflection. Is he a madman? A visionary? Or just a boy with a very, very specific grudge against a cow? Odd deadline. Because nothing says time-sensitive mission quite like agricultural homicide. And so the recruitment drive begins. Wanted 3 morally flexible individuals for a project in the livestock sector. Experience preferred, but not required. With a flash of cold, hard cash, the village's hidden talents emerge. Suddenly, everyone's CV includes bovine disassembly specialist. The auditions conclude. A dramatic pause. Let's see who makes the cut for this. Enterprise. The first 2 draft picks are selected. Note the immediate simmering resentment. Team building is off to a marvelous start. And for the 3rd slot, this specimen, positively beaming, an artist who has clearly found his medium. With his disciples chosen, Joe gazes at the heavens, pondering the great philosophical questions of his task. Or perhaps just checking for rain. The team's first task, it seems, is to observe their leader making a phone call while someone lies bundled on the ground. A most unorthodox management style. He scrolls through his contacts. A crucial call must be made before the festivities can begin. So he's not just killing the cattle, he's selling them. A fire sale, in fact. This whole affair has just upgraded from bizarre to potential insurance fraud. And right on cue, the getaway vehicle, the transport truck, arrives with all the subtlety of a car chase. A mysterious plaid duffel is produced. The first rule of mysterious plaid duffels is that they never contain anything sensible. The transaction is complete. Zhou now holds a truly scandalous amount of cash while his parents look on with what can only be described as mild parental terror. As his parents spiral into financial panic, Zhou prepares for the big reveal. He assures them they'll understand soon, a word that rarely precedes good news. And with the bag of secrets in hand, he departs, leaving his parents with two simple instructions. Don't move, and if anyone asks, you know nothing. A solid foundation for any healthy family dynamic. Final instructions are given. Lock the doors, and no matter what happens, do not answer if the cows come knocking. A quiet scenic drive. The dashboard clock ticks ominously towards Armageddon o'clock. This is the calm before the storm of zombie livestock. The granary is stocked, but the real pre-apocalypse shopping list is a touch more aggressive. Weapons, medicine, and a healthy amount of gunpowder. And there it is. The reason for all the frantic preparation. In 2 hours, the world, as we know, is scheduled for demolition. You try to keep up. So to clarify the itinerary, first the animals go rabid. Then they infect the humans. Suddenly, the preemptive cattle sale seems marginally less insane. The prognosis is bleak. The infected feel no pain, only a ravenous hunger for their neighbors. Projections show half the global population gone in a month. Delightful. And now we understand. This isn't his first apocalypse. In a previous life, you see, he was a catastrophic failure. This time he's powered by pure, unadulterated trauma. A classic. How did he come back? Why him? No time for such trivialities. There are poorly defined cosmic rules to exploit and a world to save. Again, with the power of hindsight and a truck full of questionable assets, he is determined to make new and more interesting mistakes this time around. His economic strategy for the end times is refreshingly simple. Forget canned goods. Invest heavily in bullets and cash. A bold, if short-sighted portfolio. And now for the main event, gunpowder. Observe the industrial complex. We're not here for party poppers. He emerges bag in hand, a man who understands that in the coming age the most valuable currency will be firepower. He marvels at the simple elegance of gunpowder. With enough of this, even the most timid soul can become a walking artillery piece. He is in essence democratizing destruction. Meanwhile, in a poorly lit room for important people in new development is being discussed. Control is the name of the game, and someone's just upset the board. Observe the smile of a predator who's just heard the dinner bell. A report of big business has reached his ears, and he's practically vibrating with avarice. Who could it be? He wonders with all the sincerity of a fox in a henhouse. And just when you think this is a simple transaction, the plot twists. The shady businessman recognizes our hero, not as a rival, but as his secretary's ex-boyfriend. The apocalypse will have to wait. We have awkward romantic history to address. Zhou, ever the professional, tries to steer this train wreck back onto the business tracks, dropping the name Lin Jie. A valiant but ultimately doomed effort. The melodrama. A possessive glance, a simmering glare. Yes, forget the gunpowder, this fraught love triangle is the real explosive in the room. And the villain connects the dots. The smug satisfaction radiating from him is almost blinding. He believes he's just uncovered a grand conspiracy, not stumbled into a petty domestic squabble. He practically cackles with glee. Meanwhile, the lady in question denies, caring, while simultaneously explaining why they can't be together. A masterclass in mixed signals. But Zhou is here for one thing. 1,000 pounds of black gunpowder for 100 grand. An order which abruptly derails the soap opera. The reaction is as you'd expect, one of profound disbelief. It seems Doomsday Prepper was not on his list of potential character traits. Our businessman gives a lovely speech about being a legitimate manufacturer, while simultaneously signaling that he is very much open to illegitimate business. A true capitalist. And here's the leverage. Zhou casually mentions a certain woman in a blue dress at a certain factory on a certain day. A beautifully specific piece of blackmail. You can almost hear the gears grinding as he tries to place the name. Is this a threat? A riddle? He's so close to understanding he's been caught. A flashback to a time of mundane paperwork and inventory checks. A boring corporate crime that is about to become incredibly relevant. And the crime? Claiming perfectly good gunpowder was damaged and then offloading the problem onto college students. An innovative, if deeply irresponsible, waste disposal program. Joe's smirk says it all. He knows their dirty little secret. He's not just a customer. He's the man holding all the cards. A thick, uncomfortable silence falls between Joe and his ex. Because nothing says unresolved issues like negotiating an arms deal in front of her new boyfriend. And with the deal all but done, Joe makes a magnanimous offer of a one-time rescue mission should they ever need it. A very generous coupon for surviving the apocalypse, valid for one use only. He murmurs her name, a thoughtful pause. Is he contemplating the past? Or trying to remember where he parked? Her expression suggests she's heard this all before. And just like that, he's all smiles, delighted to cooperate. This sudden pivot to charming business partner is in no way a massive red flag. Back in his evil office, the villain takes a moment to appreciate his handiwork. Is it the sigh of a successful businessman or a predator admiring his trap? Yes. The clasped hands, the sinister chuckle. He's found the situation interesting, which is a clinical term for catastrophically entertaining for me specifically. And now the eyes are glowing red. When your rival starts laughing maniacally and chanting your name, you've officially graduated from business competitor to arch nemesis. Right on schedule, this guy decides to join the party, turning a lovely shade of impending doom. Naturally, our hero is driving straight into it. The truck comes to a grinding halt, because a simple on-time arrival would be far too much to ask of the apocalypse. He emerges grimly, noting that everything should be fine if no accidents happen. He has, of course, just personally invited an accident to happen. And the universe, with its impeccable comedic timing, immediately obliges. His back, not the truckload of gunpowder, is the first casualty. A small mercy. A voice bellows through the storm. It has the distinct tone of someone whose day is about to be made significantly worse. He's immediately met with the perfectly reasonable question of what on earth is wrong with him. A fair inquiry, given the circumstances. A warm welcome home, immediately followed by a grilling over the missing livestock. Apocalypse or no financial priorities must be maintained. He waves off the cow interrogation, promising answers later. But his urgent question about someone named Xiao Mei is met with bad news. Suddenly, the cattle market has plummeted on his list of concerns. He repeats the question, a new urgency in his voice, with the sky looking like that a missing person is several orders of magnitude more troubling. And then the dawning horror. The cold realization that in his grand heroic plan to save everyone, he might have inadvertently gotten his own sister killed. A classic case of apocalyptic miscalculation. And with that, the carefully constructed facade of the stoic prepper shatters. The apocalypse has been officially downgraded to a secondary concern. He issues a final desperate command to stay inside, promising a very quick return. A promise his face, a mask of pure terror, has absolutely no intention of keeping. The door slams, cutting off a protest. He's off on his heroic rescue, leaving a trail of deeply concerned family members in his wake. The wind howls a simple, urgent message. Whatever you're doing, do it faster. And so the noble steed, a mid-sized truck laden with explosives, thunders into the sunset, racing against a clock that's about to strike extinction. A white-knuckle grip on the wheel. He recalls a key fact of the coming plague. On the first day, the animals fall silent. A deeply unnatural quiet, just before the screaming starts. The horrifying thought strikes him. She might still be at school. His internal monologue has now reached a new level of panic. A monstrous roar echoes. A grim narration reminds us of the first rule of the apocalypse. Family members are unfortunately considered a renewable resource. And then impact. The truck is swatted from the road like a fly its contents, and its driver redecorating the landscape. Our hero awakens to the soothing sensation of being trapped in a mangled heap of his own ambition. The grand rescue has hit a minor speed bump. He attempts to extract himself from what was once a truck and is now a work of abstract sculpture. Progress is slow. Pinned and thoroughly tenderized, he manages a profound what the hell. A question to which the universe is about to provide a very large, very toothy answer. That sudden sharp intake of breath isn't from a broken rib. It's the dawning realization that being in a car crash is about to become the second worst thing to happen to him today. And there it is, our feature creature making its grand debut. fangs, claws, and a distinct lack of table manners. The odds of survival have just taken a rather sharp downturn. His stunned whisper suggests he recognizes this beast. It seems the impending apocalypse is not a generic zombie affair, but a bespoke boutique horror with a much furrier cast. A single paw redecorates the pavement. Note the claws. This is not a creature that responds well to "who's a good boy." And here is the proud owner of said paw, a face only an apocalypse could love with a tongue that has clearly never been told no. Meanwhile, at Qingshan Middle School, the sky is putting on a similar performance. But inside, the real storm is brewing in the group chats. The topic of the day, our hero Zhou, who is yet again doing something. The impending end of the world is at best a secondary headline. The rumor is he sold the family farm for marriage gifts. You see, even with extinction, looming teenage priorities remain impressively steadfast. Observe the exquisite joy of a high school rival. Zhou has been crowned Qingshan's most affectionate idiot, a prestigious, if short-lived title. The inquiry is even put to his sister directly. A delicate question of family loyalty versus quality gossip. And for a fleeting moment, a flicker of concern. Or perhaps just irritation. It's often hard to tell. But the petty drama escalates. It seems the Lin family is involved now, a development far more interesting than the distant ominous roaring. And diplomacy fails. The audience, however, remains unimpressed. They find the performance a little one note. And a quick check-in with our sponsor for this chaos, who seems delighted with the ratings. Back at the school, the debate over the family sanity has now become a full contact sport. And just like that, the subtext becomes, well, just text. The stakes have been raised from social humiliation to mortal peril. A gasp. The horrifying realization that the season finale has arrived, and she appears to be the main character. The penny drops. Zhou finally grasps that the situation has escalated beyond a simple disagreement over phone etiquette. A phone is sacrificed to the gods of drama. And right on cue, the apocalypse, having waited patiently in the wings, finally makes its grand entrance. A flawless performance of accidental destruction, complete with a hollow apology. The friend, however, appears to be a much harsher critic. A moment of profound, unspoken tension. The calm before the slightly louder, more monstrous storm that's already happening outside. Enter the teacher, a creature blissfully unaware of the unfolding extinction event whose primary concern remains a confiscated phone. She deploys the ultimate weapon, parental notification. A threat that in about 5 minutes will seem adorably quaint. Zhou agrees with the kind of cheerful, wide-eyed compliance that usually precedes a major insurrection. Another stellar line delivery from our antagonist. The performance is so unconvincing, even her own accomplice looks bored. She promises to be more careful of Val with all the structural integrity of a wet paper bag. Her friend, meanwhile, has transcended the petty drama and is now communicating entirely through disappointed sighs. And from outside, a new voice joins the conversation. It seems someone's extracurricular activities have arrived, and they sound rather cross. The heavens open, providing some much-needed dramatic atmosphere. The weather is now in complete agreement with the plot. A brief final glimpse of a world where the primary concern is getting a bit wet. And the schoolyard debate has now moved to its physical phase. Our antagonist delivers a classic post-shove taunt line as old and uninspired as bullying itself. And now we escalate to hair-pulling, a timeless classic of schoolyard barbarism. But through the pain, a dreadful realization dawns. She's not the main target. She's merely the opening act. And for our feature presentation, a utility knife. The curriculum here has clearly expanded beyond algebra. She even offers to help her open her mouth. It's this sort of proactive hands-on approach that's so often missing from modern education. Meanwhile, a contender for Worst Timed Arrival of the Year hurtles through the rain. Zhou has reached the school. He's here to prevent a disaster, blissfully unaware he's already missed the premiere. And there it is. The precise moment he realizes the apocalypse did not wait for him to park. Yes, the student body has collectively decided that class is in fact dismissed. Permanently. Back to our B-plot, where a knife has just made a very persuasive and very messy point on the ground. Observe the look of pure, undiluted terror. A powerful emotion, though not terribly effective for staunching a wound. And the symptoms begin to manifest. Stage 1 appears to be a severe disagreement with one's own circulatory system. Now we move to Stage 2. The projectile vomiting of a substance that is quite clearly not today's cafeteria special. Her friend asks if she's alright, a question that, given the geyser of black fluid, feels just a touch optimistic. A close-up on the hand. A delicate artistic shot used by directors to signify that things have gone irrevocably pear-shaped. And so begins the great rout. A frantic, disorganized exodus. Natural selection in its purest, most athletic form. And here we have the Apocalypse Symphony in full swing, featuring the classic refrains of help and a chorus of terrified screaming. The human mind struggles to process such an abrupt curriculum change. The question, "What is that?" dies on our lips, as the answer is clearly nothing good. Faced with the classic fight or flight decision, one student wisely chooses flight. Our subject here, however, has opted for the less effective stand perfectly still and get eaten strategy. And the transformation is complete. The specimen now communicates exclusively through guttural roars and the expressive medium of blood spatter. Another one. They seem to be multiplying. The look of pure, undiluted panic on her face is a moment to be cherished. A quiet sob almost lost in the grand soundtrack of global collapse. Her Tuesday is officially ruined. Just when you think you can finally perish in peace, a familiar voice calls out. Even at the end of the world, there's no escaping your social circle. A faint groan. The human body, when pushed to its absolute limit, makes the most pathetic little noises. And here is the cause of the distress. Note the asymmetrical eyes and the charmingly feral grin. A truly textbook case of advanced zombification. Her horrified shriek of more suggests a deep dissatisfaction with a number of assailants. As the final blow approaches, she resorts to the last bastion of the doomed, name-calling. A futile but deeply relatable gesture. But the attack is surprisingly gentle. A slow, terrifying caress. A clear sign that this particular monster enjoys playing with its food. A desperate cry cuts through the chaos, a perfect blend of "save me" and "this is all your fault, you idiot." Sibling dynamics are, it seems, apocalypse-proof. And right on cue, our hero arrives, entering the fray with all the subtlety of a thrown brick. Her eyes, wide with terror, finally lock on her rescuer. Big brother? The cavalry has arrived, and he is so grounded when this is over. And the rescue begins. We observe the local greeting ritual, a chaotic ballet of brute force and desperation. A knife appears, and a villainous taunt about the embarrassing volume of the screaming. A true professional always critiques his victim's performance. And there we have it, the finished product. A textbook specimen of the recently zombified human. Note the vacant, malevolent glare. Simply textbook. A violent, messy conclusion. A masterclass in anatomical deconstruction. There will be no encore. Our hero stands victorious, noting he could hear the commotion from far away. Yes, superhearing. A handy, if narratively convenient, new skill. He speaks her name with a chilling intimacy. This isn't a rescue. It's a predator enjoying a moment with his cornered prey. The subject's reaction is one of complete systemic shock. The software is running, but the user has logged off. Even the newly turned are getting in on the family drama, gurgling his name. The apocalypse, it seems, is a deeply personal affair. A car, a thump, and a body. Just another Tuesday morning commute in the new world order. Do try to avoid the splatter. A glorious tableau of chaos. Headlights cut through the rain, illuminating a fresh horror. It's all very cinematic. And impact, a stunning demonstration of physics, where the human body proves to be significantly less durable than the automobile. Inside a moment of quiet contemplation, is she pondering the futility of existence? Or just wondering if she left the oven on? Ah, that fateful moment, when the brain finally catches up and processes the horror that the eyes have been trying to ignore. Panic erupts in the passenger seat. The driver, however, remains focused. There's a monster outside, but more importantly, they are in the middle of traffic. And here we have a fascinating psychological development. She finds it all so real, amazing even. Some individuals, it seems, are uniquely suited for the end of the world. They're called psychopaths. Joe, ever the master of emotional nuance, offers some sage advice. If you're scared, cry. A revolutionary, new therapeutic technique for the end of the world. The subject exhibits classic symptoms of acute apocalypse exposure. The whispered admission of so much is a clinical and rather spectacular understatement. He delivers a chillingly pragmatic forecast. More man-eating zombies are on the way, so everyone must learn to adapt. Yes, adapt to a world where your neighbor's property value has plummeted, but their appetite has skyrocketed. And with a smile that displays a frankly unwarranted level of confidence, he makes a bold promise. The family will be fine. He has in essence decided to personally veto the apocalypse. And it seems to be working. A faint smile appears. The power of baseless optimism is truly a wonder to behold. And there we have it, full-blown belief. The human capacity for hope, even in the face of overwhelming evidence to the contrary, is a remarkable survival trait. A moment of tranquility. The city twinkles below, blissfully unaware that its primary industry is about to shift from commerce to screaming. The away team returns announcing their arrival with all the subtlety of a tactical airstrike. Mission success? Or just a brief intermission? The survivors emerge from the gloom. They've returned, but one must always check what manner of horrors they've brought back with them. A joyous reunion. A brief, welcome respite from the gnawing terror of being eaten alive by a former classmate. But Joe, ever the pragmatist, cuts through the pleasantries. His primary concern: has anything happened? A reasonable question given the general state of things. The matriarch reports that all is now quiet. The kind of quiet that usually follows a great deal of not quiet. Joe immediately begins analyzing the enemy's weaknesses. Mutants dislike sunlight, a crucial piece of intel. It seems the New World Order will be run by morning people. His brother, however, remains skeptical of the massive stockpile. Why does it look like we're about to fight a war? He asks. A truly baffling question. But there's no time for questions. Joe is already barking orders to unload the supplies. The apocalypse, after all, waits for no man. With the home base secured, he announces another quick solo mission. He promises to be back very quickly, a phrase that almost guarantees he will not. The family matriarchy establishes the new chain of command. Listen to Brother Joe. A sound strategy, assuming he has any idea what he's doing. A quiet moment of reflection. The goal is no longer normalcy, but to become a little different. A wonderfully vague and likely painful aspiration for the end of the world. He recalls certain changes from his past life. A perfect opportunity to run a few field experiments on himself. Because what is an apocalypse if not a chance for some hands-on biology? And there it is, the telltale red glow. It seems in his past life, he wasn't just a victim of the apocalypse. He may have been a card-carrying member. Under a comically large moon, he takes a dramatic leap, shouting about how helpful it will be. It is, of course, crucial to announce your power-ups lest they go unnoticed. Meanwhile, in a nearby mansion, the neighbors are being less considerate. One resident is forced to ask the eternal question, what the hell are these people doing? Another perfectly reasonable inquiry, why are they trying to bite us? An early and often final symptom of the affliction is a complete breakdown in social etiquette. A gnarled hand makes an unannounced entry through the window. The new tenants have arrived, and they have some strong opinions on home renovation. But look, the defenders have found weapons. A pair of baseball bats. A touching display of faith in the power of organized sports. The situation escalates quickly, and with that, the elegant home becomes a high-speed blender of chaos, shattering glass, and poor decisions. One of the defenders immediately learns that a baseball bat is a poor countermeasure for a creature that could throw you through a solid wall. And there we have our first confirmed casualty. The stakes, it would seem, are quite real. Her eyes widen. She whispers the classic beginning of every sentence that ends in doom. This is, yes, dear, it certainly is. A heavy boot lands with a satisfyingly wet crunch. Another one of the locals has, it would seem, expired. Our hero, however, is having a marvelous day, leaping through the carnage with the grace of a homicidal gazelle. His arrival is met with shock. It seems Joe's reputation precedes him, and it is not, shall we say, a calming one. And with the telltale glow of a single red, we can confirm that the brooding protagonist power-up has been fully activated. Observe the look of profound terror, the kind one usually reserves for finding a spider in the shower or realizing you've replied all. He efficiently dispatches another one of the undead as a terrified onlooker appreciates his technique. A clean, if messy, execution. He moves through the horde not as a fighter, but as an artist. A true maestro of mayhem. Another shocked cry of his name. In the midst of the apocalypse, Joe has become a minor and deeply alarming celebrity. A wordless, visceral expression of pure disgust. Someone has clearly just seen the catering bill for this event. But Joe is processing data. He notes a key difference from his past life. A certain someone lacks her usual sharp look. A critical detail, Or perhaps she's just dehydrated. The subject's response is a masterclass in denial. A bold strategy, though rarely effective against the ravenous undead. Another local struggles to form a complete sentence. A common side effect of having one's reality so thoroughly dismantled. And now a moral objection. A man with a baseball bat argues that one can't kill people. An adorable, though dangerously outdated point of view. Zhou, ever the diplomat, clarifies that he didn't kill anyone. A technically correct, if slightly misleading statement. And now for the public service announcement. They are zombies. If you get their blood on you, you become a zombie. So please try to maim responsibly. And here we have a man experiencing a sudden violent allergy to genre conventions. He insists this isn't a story, a plea that is frankly adorable. He identifies the deceased as Lao Zhang. The apocalypse, it seems, has now become a deeply inconvenient neighborhood matter. The local elder delivers the shocking news. The village committee is in fact utterly useless in a zombie crisis. A stunning failure of local government. Zhou helpfully points out that emergency services are currently unavailable. It is time to embrace the DIY approach to survival. And now, the classic power-up sequence. Observe the dramatic light, show a clear sign that someone is about to solve a complex social problem with glowing fists. He focuses his power muttering about its extent, a vague but deeply meaningful internal monologue. We can only assume it's very extensive. Enter the man in a suit whose primary function is to dramatically misinterpret the situation. His verdict? Our hero is a vicious mass murderer. The face of a man who has just realized his homeowner's insurance policy has a very specific acts of the undead clause. And just like that, the spirit of community is kindled. Nothing unites a frightened mob quite like a good old-fashioned witch hunt. Zhou finds himself the star athlete in the Blame Game Olympics. The crowd is unified, their chants relentless. A gold medal performance in scapegoating. And here we have a classic specimen, the terminal skeptic. This particular archetype will refuse to believe in zombies right up until the moment one is chewing on his face. An attempt is made to restore order by shouting the exact same thing as everyone else, only louder. A bold leadership strategy. A single commanding gesture to halt the proceedings. A desperate plea for reason in the face of mob rule. Bless her heart. She attempts to apply logic to a panicked mob, insisting Zhou is the savior, not the villain. A noble, but ultimately futile endeavor. A moment of quiet gratitude. Our hero thanks her for the effort. In narratives such as this, such tender moments are usually a prelude to something truly awful. He calmly explains the reality of the zombie situation, then offers as a party trick to locate their missing loved ones. A bold, if macabre gambit. And here we have the mandatory skeptic volunteering for a field trip to confirm or deny the existence of the undead. A brave, if monumentally stupid decision. He assures them not to worry about him, a statement that is of course a cast-iron guarantee that one should begin worrying immediately. Our well-dressed antagonist makes an offer. The kind of offer that usually comes with several pages of undisclosed and deeply unpleasant terms and conditions. And now, a brief recap of recent villainy. Resource hoarding, gunpowder accumulation, and a general air of something strange afoot. Standard. Zhou applies some elementary logic. When a large number of people disappear near the one spooky, inaccessible forest, they are almost certainly not on a yoga retreat. The classic rhetorical taunt. You think these aren't zombies? A question that is almost always answered with a great deal of screaming and being eaten. And he follows up with the classic schoolyard gambit, questioning our hero's courage. A truly sophisticated psychological tactic. A chilling, if grammatically ambitious threat is issued. Apparently people will be murdered. Zhou agrees to the expedition, citing his duty to the villagers. The true reason, of course, is that the plot demands it. The villain adds a condition. He must bring along a few trusted people. A request that is never ever a good sign. And we get the standard villain monologue about forcing out secrets. A classic piece of rhetoric usually delivered just before a stunning and comprehensive failure. A single trembling hand. A portrait of quiet, understated desperation. A plea for caution is issued. A perfectly sensible argument that has in this environment a 0% chance of being heeded. And with the village secretary conveniently absent, a power vacuum appears. Nature and ambitious side characters abhor a vacuum. A lone figure in a hallway wonders where everyone is gone. A classic opening to a scene that does not end well for the lone figure. On answer. The village secretary has gone off to do something heroic. A stark contrast to the current strategy of standing around looking concerned. And another missing person is added to the list. The success rate of these search parties is so far abysmal. A sharp intake of breath. The classic preamble to a dramatic and probably incorrect theory. And with that, another volunteer joins the Let's Wander into the Spooky Force Committee. Membership is booming. He justifies this by citing his official duty to understand things. A noble, if belated, sense of civic responsibility. A profound, weary sigh. The universal sound of an old man who knows this is all going to end in tears. A moment of adult supervision. He promises to join them after he's finished settling down the hysterical mob. A task that should only take forever. A hopeful whisper under the full moon. A touching but statistically improbable sentiment. And the away team has arrived. Headlights cut through the gloom, illuminating a scene of profound nothing. A flashlight beam finds its target. Vehicle, she exclaims. A stunning piece of observational deduction. The engine is cold. The driver unreachable. The classic ingredients for a something has gone horribly wrong stew. Our hero accesses his convenient preloaded memories of the apocalypse. A handy feature this past life of his. He confidently declares they've come to the right place. In these situations, the right place is invariably the worst possible place. And with that, the expedition begins in earnest. The plan: walk into a dark, terrifying forest and search carefully. A truly flawless strategy. A grim sigh, the official sound of a group that has run out of good ideas and is now proceeding with the bad ones. And look, the B team has arrived, led by our impeccably dressed antagonist. They're clearly here on a competing and almost certainly more evil expedition. A faint call for the village secretary, a man who is in all likelihood wisely hiding from a plot. A stunning botanical observation. The large forest is in fact large, and surprisingly devoid of missing people. And now, for that classic horror movie line. There were people here just a moment ago. A sentence that is always followed by something dreadful. A footprint. The first clue on our trail of tears. Broken branches. A clear sign of a struggle. And blood. That kind of struggle. And our hero, using his advanced knowledge of the situation that is currently happening, deduces that this is a typical zombie gathering. A stunning piece of detective work. Under the moon, he begins a dramatic internal monologue. Because if you don't narrate your own backstory, who will? Deep in a cavern, a hand is raised. A desperate cry of stop. A sound that has in the history of storytelling never once been heeded. I will go alone. Yes, the split the party strategy. A plan with a rich and storied history of catastrophic failure. The villain, with a disturbing chuckle, questions this decision. His concern is, as always, deeply touching and entirely fake. He then pivots to accusing our hero of wanting to destroy evidence. A wonderfully transparent piece of villainous projection. An eerie forest, flickering lights, unsettling howls, all the essential food groups of a well-balanced horror scene. A look of concern. Zhou is once again about to do something rash. Another smug taunt. The villain, it seems, has mastered the art of schoolyard provocation. He widens his grin, inviting Zhou to a friendly game of guess what's in the murder cave. And there it is. The precise moment a man's patience snaps. Is not a pretty sight. A moment of clarity. He realizes the villain wasn't trying to kill him, merely toying with him. How much more insulting. The villain is once again finding the situation interesting. He has a truly depraved definition of entertainment. A moment of introspection. He wonders what secrets the villain is hiding. The smart money, of course, is on in the cave. It's always in the cave. A sharp inhale. Gritted teeth. This is either the start of heroic charge or a bout of severe indigestion. And from the darkness, a pale hand emerges. The local welcoming committee, it seems, is a bit anemic. And our hero responds with a well-practiced display of violence. Clearly, he's been working on his form. A faint groan from the dirt-streaked survivor. And then, a smile. That is almost certainly not a good sign. And a joyous reunion. He's found her. A touching moment, assuming she hasn't developed a taste for human flesh. He scolds her for making him worry. A tender domestic moment, soon to be interrupted by a ravenous hunger for brains. And primal rage. The protective instincts kick in a little too late to be truly effective. And there it is. The zombified reveal. No, dear boy, that is the opposite of all right. That is in fact very, very not all right. And just like that, a tender reunion becomes a hostile takeover. Note the glowing red eyes. the universal sign for I am no longer accepting applications for friendship. He chokes out her name, a single bead of sweat betraying his hope. But alas, glowing red eyes are rarely a sign of a healthy relationship. Zhou, our resident expert on the recently deceased, delivers the diagnosis with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Her social calendar, it seems, is now entirely dedicated to snacking. And so the negotiation phase ends. Zhou is forced to take decisive and deeply messy action. Subtlety, after all, is a luxury for the uninfected. He stands silhouetted against a suspiciously cinematic moon axe, still warm. One down. But the apocalypse, it seems, is a subscription service, and another boss has just spawned. Behold the face of a man who has seen too much and showered far too little. The 1,000-yard stare comes standard with this particular apocalypse package. Zhou eyes the blood-stained ground. Were you injured? He asks. Given the copious amounts of gore, this is less a question and more a formality. Observe the classic, utterly betrayed starter pack, dirt, blood, and askew glasses. He whimpers the accusation, his tiny world shattering. And when words fail, primal rage finds its voice in a satisfying crack of earth and knuckle. Tears, dirt, and a silent scream. The subject has now entered the full-blown, emotional breakdown phase of his grief. Alone in the forest, he whispers the verdict. Murderer. The distant howls provide a fitting, if cliché, soundtrack to his despair. And now the vow of vengeance. The teeth are bare, the eyes spit fire. A very specific and very loud vendetta has just been declared. The group dynamic shifts. A flurry of suspicious glances fills the air thick with unspoken accusations and profound social awkwardness. And our resident villain, ever the opportunist, positively revels in the chaos. He is, it seems, a connoisseur of emotional dumpster fires. And with a primal roar, grief is channeled into violence. A heavy bat swings down. Someone is about to have a very, very bad day. A sharp gasp. Someone has just experienced a sudden violent case of consequences. A flurry of motion and clashing steel. The budget for dramatic action sequences, it seems, has been fully approved. A brutal impact. He makes a sudden violent acquaintance with the floor as more projectiles arrive to salt the wound. A bloody face, a choked whisper of acceptance. He seems to be offering his opponent a moment to savor the victory. How thoughtful. Zhou, carrying a legally questionable amount of sorrow on his face, delivers the grim truth. Hexayan became a zombie, so he had to decommission her. A dripping blade, because subtlety is for cowards. He then delivers a profound speech about his desire for the living to continue living. A truly revolutionary platform. A defeated whisper from the floor. It seems the rousing speech has failed to inspire the man who just received a vigorous beating. And now our villain reveals his motivation with a triumphant laugh. It's a classic case of, if I'm miserable, everyone must be miserable. A truly compelling philosophy. Elsewhere, a high-collared figure engages in some intense, silent brooding. The classic posture of someone about to become very important to the plot. Several figures contorted in all the wrong ways decorate a blood-soaked floor. It seems the housewarming party was a bit of a wash. Our brooder remains unmoved, deep in thought. The sheer intensity of his contemplation is palpable. An intense eye narrows, a sharp inhale, and a single eloquent "huh" escapes. Something has just registered, and it wasn't the winning lottery numbers. A trembling hand reaches out. Is it a plea for help? Or the opening move of another attack? In this economy, it's anyone's guess. Our hero recoils from a violent impact, his expression shifting from shock to finish playing nice. And things escalate to the forceful strangulation phase of the discussion. A grim but effective debating technique. Here we see the classic protagonist snaps behavior. After repeated rescues, the subject is surprised to learn that gratitude is not a renewable resource. Note the glowing, common symptom of a sudden and violent power-up. He clarifies his new family protection policy. The terms are simple, non-negotiable, and come with a very sharp enforcement clause. An appeal for de-escalation is made, but it seems Zhou's approval ratings are plummeting amongst those he is currently choking. Our villain, meanwhile, offers his own astute political analysis, labeling the hero a lunatic murderer. He seems absolutely delighted by the turn of events. A single confused word. It seems there's another player on the field of development our hero finds deeply inconvenient. And a new challenger enters the ring with a percussive statement of intent. The delicate social fabric collapses into a chaotic free-for-all. A wonderful, if messy, display of primal instincts. Another attempt is made to reason with the rampaging protagonist. The success rate of this tactic remains at a consistent 0%. The subject is experiencing what experts refer to as a critical failure of the respiratory system. His day is not improving. A bead of sweat, a frustrated sigh. The hero is clearly experiencing a severe case of protagonist fatigue. And now a direct appeal to a higher power. A classic why me posture, though divine intervention in these matters is statistically rare. And a brutal collision. A stunning display of kinetic energy transfer, resulting in what will almost certainly be a mild to severe concussion. A massive blade redefines the local landscape. This is less a weapon and more a piece of aggressive terraforming equipment. And a combatant makes a sudden, forceful acquaintance with the ground. He appears to be losing the argument. And with a final deafening crack, the exchange concludes. Two figures lie defeated, surrounded by the glittering debris of their failure. Our hero's face, a masterwork of exhaustion, dirt, and dried blood. He is technically conscious, but the lights are most certainly not on. A smug grin from the victor. You're finally awake, he sneers, savoring the moment with all the grace of a vulture. But what's this? A tender moment of brotherly concern. A tiny, fleeting glimmer of hope in this otherwise dismal affair. Do not get used to it. And now, a full emotional breakdown complete with streaming tears and a classic infuriatingly unfinished sentence of regret. A name is screamed into the void, a primal howl of anger and frustration. Someone has some explaining to do. And under the moody moonlight, it's time for some emotional unpacking. Grief, blame, and a healthy dose of angst are on the agenda. Our hero, ever the pragmatist, delivers a classic suck-it-up buttercup speech. There are, after all, responsibilities to be had. A forehead touch, a handshake. A reluctant agreement is reached. The difficult and deeply unpleasant work of survival must continue. He gazes off, fondly recalling someone who is always so sharp. High praise, especially in a world where most people have the emotional intelligence of a brick. The classic jock and nerd dynamic. One is a beacon of social grace. The other a black hole of melancholy who has no friends. A timeless pairing. A tender moment of sibling affection. A vow of protection that in stories like this is almost always a contractual obligation for future tragedy. A fist meets a solid object. The preferred method of emotional expression for those with a limited vocabulary. Three figures in the woods, a perfect storm of denial, confusion, and blatant dishonesty. Communication, it seems, is the first casualty of the apocalypse. Facing the sky, a heroic declaration is made. It's his turn to protect everyone. Get ready for some grand posturing and a significant amount of collateral damage. And from the ominous maw of a dark cave, a cry for help. It would seem the local cave dwellers are not holding a friendly potluck. Her eyes widen. Voice, she exclaims. A stunning observation. Yes, darling cries for help are often auditory in nature. He issues a command not to move, then immediately trails off. Because nothing builds tension quite like a dramatic, unfinished sentence. It's strange, he mutters. A dark cave, a desperate scream, a vague warning. Yes, strange is certainly one word for it. The cave entrance is now emanating audible sobs. It seems this particular geological feature is also a source of profound sadness. He's seen something that has prompted the classic wide-eyed stare of terror. It was not, we can safely assume, a puppy. Shut up. He bellows his patience for unsolicited opinions, having been completely exhausted. And a new volunteer steps forward. The classic brave fool, archetype eager to rush headfirst into the obvious trap. A perennial fan favorite. Deep in the Cavern challenge is issued. Come out. A bold invitation for the monster to finally make its grand entrance. And the flashlight drops. As is tradition, the darkness, it seems, has just gotten significantly darker. Could it be inside? Someone wonders aloud. A question to which the answer in these situations is always a resounding yes. Sturdy boots stand firm. A low, unsettling hum. Our hero is grounded, determined, and about to be violently ungrounded. A violent impact. The ground shatters. The protagonist recoils. So much for that firm stance. He's slammed to the ground. A chaotic tableau of debris, shock, and aggression. A Tuesday, in other words. Face contorted in fury, veins bulging. Whatever he's seeing, it has pushed him to his absolute limit. Which is, of course, where the fun begins. A pain groan from the dirt. What the hell, he mutters. His day, which was already quite bad, is about to get significantly worse. And there it is. The full monster reveal. Mutated arm, glowing red eyes, and a terrifying roar. The apocalypse, as it would seem, officially on. He grimly notes the unexpectedly high zombie count, then adds his companions to his internal people I must not allow to be eaten list. The burdens of heroism are heavy indeed. He draws his sword, yelling a command to stay close. A classic last stand formation against the tide of the inevitable. A sharp gasp. His focus is rudely interrupted. It seems the zombies have forgotten their turn-based combat etiquette. Eerie, toothy grins in the shadows. A metallic cross. Nothing to see here, just a perfectly normal, not at all creepy gathering of friends. An aerial brawl erupts, complete with golden energy blasts. Because fighting on the ground is so last apocalypse. Do you act cool alone? Arriva al downs. The classic schoolyard insult now, with 100% more mortal peril. Two figures lie battered and defeated. It seems the acting cool alone strategy was in fact a tactical error. A moment of strategic contemplation. Do these things have any weak points? A question one probably should have asked several scenes ago. And the crucial intel is revealed with a casual smirk, brains, and direct sunlight. A life-saving piece of exposition delivered with all the urgency of a weather report. An armed group discusses strategy. It seems an ambush is being planned. The element of surprise is a powerful, if frequently overused tool. Her eyes widen, her breath catches. She is witnessing something that has rendered her speechless, and probably horrified. A plan is formed. A tactical approach is decided upon. Finally, a glimmer of coordinated competence in this sea of chaos. And two more rage monsters arrive to put that competence to the test. The apocalypse, it seems, is still very much happening. And it is hungry. Let's go. He yells, charging headfirst into the fray. A bold, if statistically questionable strategy. A gravity-defying leap, a weapon raised against the moon. A perfectly normal Tuesday for our hero. A sharp intake of breath, a blur of motion. This is either a critical moment of attack or a very aggressive pas de deux. A chaotic melee. Blades flash, bodies clash. It's a desperate and frankly very poorly choreographed fight. A mutated creature roars, its red eyes glowing. The face of pure, unadulterated terror. Or perhaps just a severe case of morning breath. An airborne kick, a shattering impact. High-impact action at its most ridiculously over the top. Uggy groans, his face a mask of agony. He has just endured a brutal and deeply personal disagreement with gravity. The battle rages on. Sword-pierced bodies approaching zombies. Is not on the whole going well for Team Human. Shine the light in their eyes, attack the head. He shouts. Finally, a piece of practical advice. It only took them 397 scenes. A serene, full moon shot of the forest. A brief artistic pause before we return to the regularly scheduled screaming. And we're back. Eerie stillness, twisted bodies, copious amounts of blood. So much for tranquility. Our hero, sweating profusely, wonders if he can fight an entire group. The classic internal debate. Am I strong enough, or am I about to be horribly dismembered? He continues to mutter his words, dissolving into exhausted gibberish. The apocalypse, it seems, is a truly draining affair. Suddenly, a low, unsettling chuckle. A new challenger has appeared, and he's eager to teach someone a very painful, very personal lesson. Crunch, a sickening impact. Crystal spikes impale a figure with brutal efficiency. Yikes, that is a deeply unpleasant way to go. The moonlight illuminates the aftermath. A few haggard survivors stand amidst a literal carpet of decaying zombie hands. Just another Tuesday in the New World Order. A sly grin. When did you become so strong? Followed by a generous offer of mentorship. In a new world, even a helping hand is a power play. An awkward attempt at comfort is met with a hesitant reply. A small, fragile moment of human connection, soon to be stomped on by the narrative. And just like that, the moment's over. You don't even know how to comfort people? He snarks. It seems the bedside manner of our hero still requires some work. A rare and precious thank you is uttered. In this economy, such gratitude is practically a collector's item. And now we observe the classic pack dynamic. One male takes the credit while the other gets back to the tedious business of survival. Oh dear. A gruesome leg wound and the whispered, dreaded question. I've been bitten. What do I do? The answer, of course, is begin your transition into a plot device. The panic is contagious. We won't become like those things, right? They plead. The hope, you must admit, is adorable. Pure un adulterante d'horror. This is the face of a man who has just read the fine print on his survival contract. Desperate pleas echo through the stormy night. It seems someone is having a very, very bad evening. More frantic screams. The man in the suit is now participating in what can only be described as a vigorous one-sided deconstruction. Grimacing in pain and fury, he puts up one hell of a fight. A truly spirited, if ultimately doomed, performance. The eyes widen, the sweat drips. Is it a breakdown? Or is he turning into something else entirely? In this story, the answer is usually both. Slumped against a tree, our hero offers a chilling chuckle. You're lucky, he says, a glinting knife, his only punctuation. The recipient correctly deduces this is not a compliment. Don't make any sound, he whispers, just keep hiding. A classic piece of advice, usually delivered just before something very loud happens. A dense forest, swirling clouds, and a profound sense of impending doom. The atmosphere here is simply to die for. Defeated, slumped against a tree, our hero curses the heavens. He has officially reached his breaking point. And from that breaking point, a vow of pure, unadulterated fury is born. I will definitely kill you, he roars. Someone is about to have a very, very bad day. Flashlights pierce the gloom. I'm sure I heard a voice, one insists. The woods, however, are not being forthcoming with answers. A desperate plea for salvation. This is the sound of someone who has hit rock bottom in the terror department. Her eyes snap wide. The dots have been connected, and the picture they form is deeply, deeply unsettling. You guys go back, I'll go. Checky declares, opting for the classic lone wolf strategy. A bold, if statistically questionable move. No, I'll go with you, a companion insists. After a brief protest, our hero reluctantly agrees. Even brooding loners need a sidekick, it seems. But old habits die hard. You guys should go back first, he reiterates, still trying to play the sacrificial lamb. Stubbornness, it seems, is a core heroic trait. Under a full moon, the away team hesitates. The path ahead is radiating what can only be described as bad vibes. He takes charge, issuing a firm command to retreat. He'll handle the danger, a decision that is both noble and profoundly arrogant. A somber agreement is reached. The retreat is on. Someone else gets the fun job of walking into the monster's den. Her face is a mask of worry, her gaze distant. The internal monologue, we can assume, is not a cheerful one. Deep in the forest, three figures press on their flashlight, a tiny beacon in a sea of overwhelming dread. Inside an ominous cave, our hero declares his mission: solve the source of the zombie horde. A bold, ambitious project for a dark, confined space. Grim-faced and blood-streaked, he murmurs a name, then declares he's leaving the village's survivors in her care. A heavy burden passed on with a whisper. At the cave entrance, a grim certainty is established. This is where the zombies came from. A crucial piece of intel immediately followed by not sure. Marvelous. Really? He exclaims, his brain visibly struggling to process the latest plot twist. Welcome to the club, kid. But that voice didn't sound like someone who's been bitten, he observes, cutting through the panic with an ominous insight. Oh, lovely. New zombie rules. And now, a brief and deeply convenient backstory dump explaining the power of friendship and civic duty. Exposition, thy name is Apocalypse. Stop. He shouts, hand raised. He's seen something that warrants a very urgent, very loud interruption. Hully breathes, his eyes wide, with chilling realization. Not a casual curse, but a dawning terror. He has just glimpsed something truly unequivocally awful. A horrifying skeletal figure lurches forward. Is that? Someone screams. Yes, it seems the Apocalypse has just released a new flavor of monster. This is strange, he murmurs at the mouth of the cavern. The otherworldly glow and ominous hum agree wholeheartedly. This place has secrets, and they are not happy ones. They examine a peculiar corpse. This one, it seems, has graduated from zombie to plain old corpse. The plot and the stages of undeath continue to thicken. A close-up reveals a ragged hole in its chest. When you see a wound, that gnarly words tend to fail. This was not, we can assume, death by natural causes. Who is that person? Is it the village secretary? He asks, the dread in his voice, suggesting he already knows the terrifying answer. Deep in the darkness, a hunched figure gasps out pleas for salvation. The ambience here is less cozy cave and more final resting place. So hungry as zombie growls, its tough hide resisting our hero's knife. It seems this particular meal is fighting back harder than anticipated. It's a mutated zombie. He exclaims as unnatural tendrils lash out. Well, isn't that a terrifying upgrade? The basic model just wasn't cutting it anymore. A blinding flash of energy, a blade strikes with tremendous force. That, my friends, was a palpable hit. And just like that, our hero is violently reintroduced to the concept of gravity. A classic protagonist gets a face full of pavement maneuver. Surprise! It's a zombie. A premium deluxe model zombie with glowing red eyes and a factory standard roar. But wait, he remembers a convenient new feature, glowing hands. It's effective against it. He shouts, and it is. How wonderfully convenient. Scratch that. Hope is cancelled. Run. He screams, having discovered his glowing hands have a rather disappointing battery life. Night falls. Two figures get reflective in the woods. A perfect setting for a deep philosophical discussion. Or more likely monsters. And there it is. What is that thing? Is it also a zombie? The grim reply. It's a mutated one. Because the basic zombie model was clearly not terrifying enough. Mutate. He gasps, the horrifying implications sinking in. Yes, the apocalypse has just released its first DLC pack. A massive dark wing unfurls. Because what's worse than mutated ground zombies? Mutated flying zombies. The answer is always flying zombies. And speaking of a swarm of grotesque, red-eyed bad things arrives. A full-on fangmaw, leathery-winged, welcome committee from hell. They stand at the precipice of a cavern, swirling with dark energy and more bat shapes. A casual Tuesday night, in other words. A massive shadowy cloud forms a monstrous entity against the moon. Subtlety, it seems, is not its strong suit. More mutated fun. Tentacles lash out, smashing the ground like it owes them money. A classic monster tantrum. The two heroes lock gazes. The universal symbol for we are about to have a moment. Yikes. A grotesque tentacle beast is currently making a snack out of someone. It's probably fine. For the creature, I mean. A gigantic blade thing descends, obliterating the ground. Our hero watches, probably thinking, well, that's inconvenient. Suddenly, a flashlight beam cuts through the darkness. Because what's scarier than a monster? A well-lit monster. The world goes, "Kah," as metal fragments explode. Just another Tuesday. A monstrous tentacle slams down, but our hero's eyes glow red. He's not scared. He's just getting started. Or possibly hangry. A hand grips on for dear life, demonstrating a truly Herculean level of strength. Just in case you forgot, he was the protagonist. With a powerful, he swings a massive blade, a blur of motion and destructive intent. He's either fighting for his life or trying to get the last slice of pizza. Up close and personal, our hero grapples with a snarling, mutated beast. That thing really needs a breath mint. Ugh, he chokes as the creature's decaying face gets uncomfortably close. This is why you don't skip arm day, kids. He's clearly reached his breaking point. Teeth-bared eyes blazing red. He's about to unleash something aggressive. This thing is too strong. He roars, perfectly capturing the universal feeling of a boss fight going south. A car speeds through the night. Because what's a good apocalypse without a high-speed chase? Our hero, armed with a thick branch, stands in the path of a speeding car. A bold strategy. Let's see if it pays off. She screams, her face a mask of pure, unadulterated horror. Standard procedure for this story, really. His eyes widen. Xiao Bing Bing, he exclaims. Oh good, another dramatic reunion. Just what we needed. Crunch. The car crumples, metal groans, debris flies. Someone's insurance rates have just skyrocketed. A red-eyed zombie lunges through the window. It's like a drive-through, but with significantly more teeth. And a sickening thud. The protagonist is violently impaled. A decisive, if rather messy, conclusion to the debate. Under the full moon, our hero sits victorious, his eyes burning red. The cost of this victory, we can assume, will be several years of intensive therapy. The desolate aftermath. A wrecked car, scattered figures, and a general air of profound failure. Are you all right? She asked before taking in the carnage. What monster is this? A very good question to which nobody has a satisfactory answer. Her eyes widen. Good heavens, it's the village secretary. The apocalypse, it seems, has a delightful flair for personal drama. A chilling, triumphant grin. On behalf of me, he sneers. The puppeteer finally takes a bow. What a joy. Tears stream down his scarred face. The crushing weight of failure. A deeply relatable emotion for anyone who has ever tried to assemble flat-pack furniture. A frustrated growl. Someone is having a bad day. Or more accurately, a bad apocalypse. A violent impact. Someone is introduced to the car's windshield. The exclamation mark perfectly captures the mood of, oh, that's not good. His eyes glow with malevolent red light. He's not just a person anymore. He's a glowing dirt streak problem, and a brutal impalement through the head. Yes, that is a fairly conclusive way to end an argument. Stop it now, they plead. It seems someone is having a very public and very violent breakdown. A pulsating purple orb and a bloody knife. It seems we've stumbled into the morally ambiguous field research phase of the outbreak. This is never a good sign. And here we have the prize, the zombie crystal nucleus. The instructions are simple. Condense it at the back of the head. A straightforward, if deeply unsettling piece of amateur neurosurgery. And amidst the carnage, a whisper of hope. You don't have symptoms, yet you still have a chance. A tiny, adorable light in this festering cesspool of despair. He stares at the bloody knife, declaring that the virus in his own body shares the same origin. A classic plot twist. He's not just the hero. He's also part of the problem. He contemplates the glowing purple orb, his mind clearly brewing some dark and likely very ill-advised plans. A narrowed, intense gaze. A silent ellipsis. He is, we can assume, having some very profound and very murderous thoughts. A rare, beautiful moment of shared confusion in the apocalypse. You should have told me earlier, he says with a smug smirk before adding the casual, deeply insulting kicker. It's not that smelly. He is just delighted with himself. Our hero, looking like he just wrestled a badger and lost, delivers a grim promise. Within 2 days, the results will be visible. A statement that is less a prediction and more a vow. Now he's at the mouth of an ominous dark void ready to play bouncer. He must close it, but not before a dramatic trailing off about what might happen if he became. Yes, the classic personal sacrifice trope. Will he turn into a newt? A sentient doorknob? The suspense is killing us. From ominous voids to ominous forests, 2 figures stand by a car, looking suitably somber. The caption helpfully informs us that they are in fact watching. Subtlety, thy name is not this story. A hero leans against a tree, his speech bubble a single profound ellipsis. He is either contemplating existential dread or wondering if he left the stove on. Meanwhile, our resident villain cackles maniacally. It turns out like that, he purrs, clearly thrilled that his nefarious plans are, well, turning out like that. A brief, utterly misleading moment of peace. The sun rises over a picturesque village. Do not get used to it. More pastoral bliss. Because nothing says post-apocalyptic quite like a charming cottage and a sunrise. Suddenly action. To get up, she yells, strapping on what appears to be homemade cardboard armor. The apocalypse, it seems, is yet to hit the Etsy market. Her brother, already by the window, is clearly not as enthusiastic. She's surprised he didn't need to yell at himself to get out of bed. And now for a moment of pure sibling sass. Dressing like a freak, he smirks. A direct hit straight to the jugular. Unfazed, she proudly presents her awesome new armor. The brother's silent, deadpan stare is all the answer she needs. Do you roll over when the zombies come? He asks. A question that is immediately and spectacularly answered. Still flailing, she yells, don't push me. Oh, he definitely pushed her. Our protagonist looks up lost in thought. Or perhaps just trying to remember where he parked. Suddenly, a beefy bro with biceps that have their own biceps dramatically parkours over a wall. Our hero is completely unfazed. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. And speaking of graceful landings, the sister takes another unceremonious tumble. The reasons my sister isn't a frontline combatant list grows ever longer. A weary man breathes a sigh of relief. You're slightly awake, he says, because slightly awake is apparently a medical condition. The beefcake strolls off, leaving the sister to continue her tumble. The zombie rolling prediction, it seems, was spot on. A cheerful brute, laughing heartily, offers a massive barrel. Some boxes for your dad to play with, he says. In this world, play usually involves explosions or fending off mutated squirrels. The mood shifts. Competition not a toy, he declares. Someone has just realized this isn't a game of Candyland. A man jogs past, casually lugging a massive metallic canister. You can take it easy, he says, as if carrying a potential biohazard is no big deal. Our protagonist stands contemplatively against a rustic wall, a giant, unexplained symbol looming above him. Because nothing says deep thoughts like cryptic foreshadowing. A young woman with a pitchfork stands over a downed armored figure. Don't make me hurt you, she coos. A valuable lesson. Never underestimate the pitchfork. Sweat beads on his brow as he recalls a heavy memory. The classic tragic backstory reveal guaranteed to complicate things. Still wielding her makeshift weapon, she pushes responsibility onto someone else. I don't have time, she says, so you have to do it. A wonderful display of delegation. A rare moment of tranquility. It's nice to go to Uncle Sang's house to eat, he muses. Finally, a decent meal. Probably. But wait. A finger hovers over a doorbell. Hesitate. Is he debating a grand entrance? Or just if they're home? What are you doing here? A young woman dressed for both a hike and the apocalypse gasps at the visitor. Awkward reunion or immediate interrogation? Still wary, she hums a non-committal, then cuts to the chase. What do you want? Clearly she is not here for small talk. And suddenly tears. I want to ask your help. She sobs. Someone needs a hero, and apparently it's our hero. A kindly older woman appears. Aya Bing Bing, she exclaims, warmly inviting her in. The emotional breakdown, it seems, can wait for tea. She apologizes for the imposition, then states her purpose. She's here for Zhou. Our hero has just been voluntold. Bad news. Regional police are dark. The signal was lost this morning. The cavalry, it seems, has been captured by the comms department. Our protagonist's phone in hand muses that this didn't happen in his previous life. All right, reincarnated hero. I keep forgetting that minor detail. Her worry deepens. The silence she fears means they're off the grid and off the rescue list. The dreaded no signal, no hope scenario. And so she turns to Zhou. Accompany me to the county, she asks, to see if I can get in touch with the outside world. A noble quest to find a working payphone in the apocalypse. His face is a study in weariness and regret. This isn't a yes or no question. It's a do you want to join me on this potentially suicidal mission question. A close-up. His eyes narrow, a faint smirk amidst shadows, and a sinister red glow. He's made his decision, and it probably doesn't involve a picnic. Her shoulders slump, yet she persists. I'm still going to ask you to go with me. Incredibly brave, or just incredibly desperate. And now, the classic duty speech. I have to go, she declares, this is my duty. Then the kicker, I am willing to be hated by you. Someone is playing the martyr card very, very hard. She's cut off mid-sentence, teeth gritted. All right, she's told, there's nothing more to talk about. A wonderful, healthy way to resolve past trauma. Just don't. Her eyes widen. An important adult has entered the chat to shut down the drama. Parental override engaged. An older man takes charge, ordering our hero to come with him and the girl to wait. A classic, if temporary, solution to any argument. Our protagonist turns, whispering a single loaded word. Mom. The plot, or at least his concern for his mother, thickens. Another postcard-perfect, suspiciously tranquil scene. Clearly the apocalypse respects good real estate. The woman offers a reassuring hand and a statement that usually comes much earlier in life. We are your parents. A friendly reminder in case the zombie apocalypse caused some minor amnesia. She then unleashes the classic parental guilt trip. Look at your face, she grimaces. Do you want your sister to worry? The sigh of pure exasperation is almost audible. His jaw clenches. The classic, I'm not backing down from this, mom expression. He pleads earnestly. Trust us more, he says, just as we believe in you. Nothing like a bit of emotional leverage to get someone to cooperate. Finally, a weighty I got it. The words of a man who has just agreed to something he really, really didn't want to do. A gleaming blade is drawn. Be careful, the owner warns, don't you dare break it. The sacred sword of don't chip the paint. A silhouetted figure waves a determined goodbye. Do what you have to do. They shout, immediately followed by the slightly less confident comeback in one piece. A standard send-off for when you want to inspire, but also manage expectations. More goodbyes because one is never enough for a perilous journey. Everyone is clearly expecting a casual stroll through a minefield. Leaning against the doorframe, our brooding observer watches them leave. His face is a complex mix of I'm so deep and did I leave the stove on? Huddled among jagged rocks, a figure unleashes a truly unsettling kiki chuckle. This individual clearly pre-ordered the villain starter pack. Solitude and eerie cackling? Checks out. Determined footsteps lead us to a terrifying face. It can't be Zhuazi, right? The dialogue squeaks. Darling with those eyes, it's always Zhuazi. A hunched figure in the gloom, a giant question mark hanging over their head. Because subtlety is a luxury we cannot afford. A pale hand dips in a murky, rippling water. This is, she whispers, dragging out the reveal like it's a surprise party. Given the ambience, it is probably not just a puddle. Red-eyed and scarred, our new friend is now intently sniffing. He's either tracking something crucial or just realized his own breath is terrible. Well, that escalated. A colossal explosion rocks the scene complete with a sound effect and enough fire to make a blockbuster director blush. Subtle it is not.